Hello, my little ones. How are you doing today? This is an advanced English podcast. Of course, I didn't forget about you guys. I prepared this special episode to talk about the real story behind St. Patrick's Day. So welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are diving into the fascinating story behind one of the most famous cultural celebrations in the world, St. Patrick's Day. So every year on March 17th, millions of people around the globe wear green clothes, attend parades, drink Irish beer, and celebrate Irish culture. Cities like Dublin, New York, Chicago, and Boston turn into a sea of green. But here's an interesting question. Who was St. Patrick? And why do we celebrate him? That's a very good question. So today we are going beyond the cliches and exploring the real story behind this celebration. Who was St. Patrick? Despite being the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick was not actually Irish. Did you know that? He was born in Roman Britain around the year 385 AD. When he was about 16 years old, Irish raiders captured him and took him to Ireland as a slave. For 6 years, he worked as a shepherd in very difficult conditions. During that time, he became deeply religious and spent long hours praying. Eventually, he escaped and returned to Britain. But here's the remarkable twist. Later in life, Patrick chose to return to Ireland voluntarily as a Christian missionary. His mission was to spread Christianity among the Irish people. According to legend, he used the shamrock, a small three-leaf clover, to explain the Christian concept of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Because of his influence, he eventually became known as the patron saint of Ireland. Now let's talk about the legends and the myths. Like many historical figures, St. Patrick's life is surrounded by myths. One of the most famous stories says that St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland. However, scientists tell us that Ireland never had snakes in the first place because of its climate and geographic isolation after the Ice Age. So, what does this story mean? Historians believe that snakes may actually symbolize pagan beliefs or evil influences that Patrick helped eliminate as Christianity spread across the island. This shows how history and mythology often blend together over time. Now, how do the celebrations spread around the world? Interestingly, St. Patrick's Day did not become a massive celebration in Ireland until relatively recently. The reason the holiday became so famous actually has a lot to do with Irish immigration. During the 19th century, millions of Irish people immigrated to countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia, especially during the Great Irish Famine. These immigrant communities wanted to preserve their cultural identity. So they organized the St. Patrick's Day parades, festivals, and gatherings to celebrate their heritage. Over time, the holiday grew into a global cultural celebration of Irish pride, music, food, and community. Today, even people with no Irish ancestry join the festivities. Why everything is green? You might wonder why green became the dominant color of St. Patrick's Day. There are several reasons why. First, Ireland is often called the Emerald Isle because of its lush green landscapes. Second, the shamrock, which St. Patrick supposedly used in his teachings, is also green. Third, Irish nationalism in the 18th and the 19th centuries adopted green as a symbol of Irish identity. Over time, wearing green on St. Patrick's Day became a cultural tradition. In fact, in some places, people jokingly pinch anyone who isn't wearing green, so be careful tomorrow. Well, now, modern celebrations. Today, St. Patrick's Day is a celebration that includes massive parades, traditional Irish music, Irish dancing, festivals and street party, traditional food like Irish stew and soda bread. In Chicago, the river is famously dyed bright green every year. In Dublin, the celebration lasts several days with concerts, cultural events, and international visitors. for many people. It is a day to celebrate community and culture. Now, St. Patrick's Day is a fascinating example of how history, religion, and culture and migration can transform a local tradition into a global celebration. What started as a religious feast today has become a worldwide festival of identity and joy. So the next time you see people wearing green or celebrating Irish culture on March 17th, you'll know that behind the festivities lies a story that began more than 1,600 years ago. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed learning about history and culture behind St. Patrick's Day, share this episode with someone who loves history. And remember, learning English is not just about grammar, it's about discovering the stories behind the language. See you next episode.